Welcome to Season 5 of My Wife the Dietitian, a fun, evidence-based weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy living. On today's show, we're joined by dietitian Ashley Koff, author of Your Best Shot. Ashley joins us today to talk about GLP-1 medications and to debunk some common weight loss myths. Stick around for this comprehensive and informative episode. Enjoying the show? You can help others find it and enjoy it too by giving us a 5-star rating or review. If you feel like reaching out to us with a question or comment, you can send us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit our website at mywifethedietitian.com, as well as our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy the show. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Rob.
How are you?
I'm excited about interviewing Ashley Koff, the dietitian.
Ashley Koff, the dietitian.
Yeah, she is.
She's not just any dietitian, though.
No, she's not just any dietitian. She wrote the book, Your Best Shot, all about the GLP-1 antagonists.
Right.
Weight loss medications.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been featured by InStyle as Hollywood's leading dietitian.
Oh, well.
And CNN has named her as top 100 health makers and also among the top 10 registered dietitians in the U.S. by Today's Dietitian magazine.
Well, then.
So we are discussing all about the complexity of weight management and how GLP-1 medications can help, like a tool in the toolbox, but also they're not the be-all, end-all.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we get into it. We
do.
Do a deep dive with her.
A really deep dive. And if you've ever had any questions about GLP-1 medications, this is the show to listen to because Ashley is so good at explaining it and helping people like me, who don't sort of have the background and the sciencey kind of background for fully understanding this stuff. And if it's something that you're thinking about using, or you know someone that is, anything like that, it's a really, really helpful episode because, like I said, Ashley is fantastic at sort of taking these complex sort of ideas and simplifying them so that they make sense. And it's like, so many times during the show, I went, oh, I get it. I mean, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I'm like, okay, that makes so much sense now.
We did do a lot of, she did debunk a lot of myths, like top myths around weight management and weight loss and how it works. So yeah, it's a really detailed interview.
Yeah. So you'll see why she's like a top-rated dietitian after you listen to this episode because she certainly knows her stuff. And like I said, she's really good at helping you understand it. And she wants to help people too. So be sure to stick around and join us with Ashley Koff.
We have Ashley Koff, dietitian, author of Your Best Shot. And Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, who you help, what you do in your work?
Yeah, totally. Thank you. I'll leave like the fun and the crazies for people who read my book and are curious about how a goat's milk cleanse ended up birthing this dietetic career. But I, at about 52, I've been doing this for, pretty close to 30 years. And, but my first job was actually in advertising. I sold sugared cereals and I told you that they were your source of better energy in the morning. And and figured out how to market the heck out of those. So, I think at the end of the day, what I do today is I'm really, really passionate about shifting and really putting a nail in the coffin, shifting us away from the concept of weight and weight loss. Personally, it derailed my early health and that nobody was sort of paying attention to a lot of signals that my body was sending that my weight health was an issue, but that diet and exercise was not A, my responsibility exclusively, and B, wasn't going to fix it, that it was really a digestive issue. And then I met GLP-1 in 2004 at a bar. No, I'm just kidding. But I met him at with my bariatric patients, and I learned about these hormones, and then very randomly got involved with some of the early research on the medications. And it was just really eye-opening to me to start to be able to explain to people, and where we are today, really get to, go in depth and explain that our body makes these hormones, and they regulate bone, muscle, fat, inflammation, blood sugar, appetite, like all these different things. So they're not just about like weight loss or diabetes, they're really about helping our whole infrastructure work optimally. And for so many of us, like me, when we've had digestive issues or when we have aspects of our system that isn't working well, it affects how these weight health hormones work. And so, yes, we have a new tool in GLP-1 agonists where we can, replace them. It's hormone replacement therapy. But outside of that, really understanding that we all need our own hormones to work optimally. Otherwise, we will struggle with any of those things that I was just talking about. That really helps us understand just kind of a different approach. And that weight health approach is a better one, regardless of, if we have a relationship with the medication. So that's me.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And when you said we have to understand that our hormones have to work optimally.
Yeah.
So that is part of the whole puzzle of health, right? Like you can't just, I don't know. I'm just thinking like people who want to just lose weight and they take a GLP-1 to lose weight. What about all those other like hormones that might not be working? Like what if you're not sleeping well? What if you're just very sedentary? Like these all play a role in our hormone health, in our overall health. Is that right?
Yeah. And I think, so first of all, like if we take a GLP-1 agonist and we only replace GLP-1, what about GIP, PYY, CCK, and amylin? Like if those aren't working better, we're still going to have struggles, right? So, when we look at just one of these weight health hormones, or maybe two of them, in an agonist form, we still have to realize that there's a whole bunch of them. The second thing is that our hormones, thyroid hormone, estrogen, testosterone, so our sex hormones, we could look at human growth hormone. We can look at vitamin D, which functions as a hormone. And we have calcitonin. We have so many hormones in the body. And so they need to be built effectively, which requires both resources and the body being able to use those. And then the factors you were talking about, things like sleep, activity, stress, et cetera, our behavior choices are going to impact and also be impacted by their function. One of the things I think most people don't know about is when you go on a GLP-1 agonist, even at a low dose, but the argument for using a lower dose is the one I'm about to present. It actually drives your body, instead of signaling our own hormone signal for about 2 to 5 minutes of metabolic activity, these put you in metabolic activity, directing metabolic activity for a day if you're on a daily shot or a daily pill, or for 7 days if you're on a weekly shot. And what that means is the converse, because the body has, when one thing goes up, something else will go down, like it works in these balances. It means that rest and digest gets suppressed. So what I actually see in actual clinical practice is heart rate variability going down, people still sleeping, or some people who are already struggling to sleep, sleeping less well, but people who might be getting the same amount of time of sleep, their body isn't experiencing the depth of rest and digest that it was experiencing off the medication. So they might experience being fatigued during the day, and the marketing messages out there will say, well, of course you're fatigued, you're not eating enough. And they'll be like, oh, well, if I'm fatigued, I'll just go ahead and drink coffee because coffee gives me a stimulant. A lot of us think coffee gives us energy, and we start this cycle that actually really wears down the body, right? And so even if you lose weight, you may be losing weight at a total weight at a compromise to your long-term weight health. And that's why I wrote my book. That's why I'm here to interject. I'm consistently working with individuals. Yes, if you're not meeting your nutrient needs, like Sandra and I, the reason that we do the work we do is we're like, all right, let's look at what your body's needs are, and let's look at all of our options for total nutrition, food, supplements, beverages, and figure out how to help you meet those needs. But at the end of the day, your nutrient resources are only one part of it. And your body's ability to use those resources is also tied to digestion. So it's really it's a whole infrastructure situation that we're dealing with. And I like to oversimplify it and say it this way. If you go downstairs in your car or walk out the door and your car doesn't start, but you know it has gas in the tank, you know it has oil in the engine, air in the tires, you don't go out and drain all of those things and go, all right, now let's see if it starts. Like you basically turn on the car, if it's even starts, and you see the check engine lights and you go, okay, what do I need to work on, right? And that's where my car capabilities and discussions stop, because I don't know what to work on. That's when I call someone. But I think that's when they call us, because I want to understand, like, maybe you're eating plenty of iron and calcium and getting in enough magnesium, but maybe your digestive system isn't delivering it where it needs to go, or maybe you're taking in protein, but it's not getting broken down and absorbed. So we're not actually making enough of these hormones because they're made from protein. So I'll stop there, but it really is super multifactorial. Like, we have to take a whole person, whole system approach to it.
Can I just ask a quick question before we go any further? Is the GLP-1 medications, I guess we're going to call them, are they just an off the shelf, or is it a prescription?
Great question. Yeah.
Because if anyone can do it, it sounds to me like you kind of need a coach to be with you to sort of guide you through all the potential issues that you can have. It's not something you should just pop like a morning vitamin, right?
This is where a Canadian brain that makes that so simple is like, I mean, just like, yeah. So in the US, we've decided, hey, we'll make insurance in charge of who has access. We'll decide who has access based on, what it was studied for. Great. And that's, so obesity and diabetes. But then we're going to also have all these people who have all these benefits from it, but we're not going to give them access to it. And then they're going to go to a black market option, which is, I'm going to try to find it wherever I can, because I actually think it's something very helpful for me. And when you go to that black market option, what ends up happening is, number one, cost is a factor because you're paying out of pocket. And then they're also not interested. Those companies are not interested in connecting you. They're outcomes oriented, is selling product. They're not outcome. My job, the only way I get to be successful is when my patient is successful, right? I'm not like here selling sessions. I'm selling, I'm helping my patient get successful. And so in terms of that, we have a whole dynamic that doesn't work in the favor of the actual outcome of the individual. What I would say is this, because you bring up the word coach, I'm going to use like kind of how my ideal world would work with it. So I think that if insurance was open to making it accessible for more people, or even with the people for whom it's accessible, I don't think it should be accessible without what I call a backwards doctor. So an RD, registered dietitian, or instead of a DR, or a CNS, or somebody who's trained in assessing and personalizing nutrition. There are plenty of doctors who actually do know about nutrition, but they don't know how to practice it. And I want to distinguish there. Like, I might know about how to, all the things that happen with a colonoscopy, but I am not practicing a colonoscopy. Like, you're not,
Right.
I'm not doing yours. And so the interesting thing is, like, the gateway there is it's insurance, and then you have doctors or nurse practitioners who are prescribing it. This just happened the other day to me. Somebody was they got their shot, and the nurse practitioner said, now go drink a lot of water. Fortunately, he texted me and said, what does go drink a lot of water mean? And I was like, it means you should ignore the person who's sharing that message with you. Thank you for reaching out to me. Like, what we're doing is we're optimizing. We want to optimize hydration, which we all know isn't actually even just drinking more water. I want to make sure your electrolytes are in good place, your water. And then I also want to look at, very important when you're on a GLP-1 agonist, your dehydrator. So I want to look at the impact of caffeine, of alcohol, of stress, of added sugar, of digestive health, which is going to be impacted, and of any of your medications. So that's what you need, right? So if insurance wanted to make this more accessible in an optimization manner, they would mandate that, just like we did with bariatric surgery, they would mandate that you worked with a qualified, what I'll call weight health nutritionist on that part. I think the role of coaching, however, and you brought this up, Rob, is so incredibly valuable. The problem that we have is when somebody feels like I can have a coach as opposed to a weight health nutritionist. So those are two different things. Some people are both. But a coach is going to be somebody who says, okay, the recommendations from your practitioner, somebody who can make recommendations, those recommendations are this. Now I'm going to work with you on how do we make that happen, right? And one of the reasons I use coaches, so we have clinical nutritionists, our weight health nutritionists, and we have coaches. And the reason we bring both together is once I put a plan together for someone and I talk to them and I go over it, they meet with the coach, and then the coach comes back to me and is like, I know Sarah said that she was really open to making a smoothie on waking. She got onto the call with me, Ashley, and said, like, I'm not having a smoothie. And I was like, okay, like, so what did you guys work out? So or the coach will be like, you know what, Sarah's really been trying that smoothie, but we just find she's really bloated afterwards. And so then like that collaboration between me and the coach really helps us optimize the patient outcomes. And the challenge that we have in the US is that all of that carries a price tag. And so do the labs I want you to have. And so do the supplements. And supplements play a really key role when we don't meet our needs from our food, right? And so I think that like all of that needs to be factored in a budgeting conversation. But I think your overarching point was people are getting these not through a prescription, or they're getting a prescription, but they're not working with a practitioner team to implement that. And that's where we're seeing a lot of the problems come up.
Yeah, I think the marketing makes it seem like you take this medication and you get this result. It's just like an easy translation, but there's all this in between that they're missing, and by coaching I just meant someone to direct their care.
Yes.
But you guys probably actually have actual coaches that work with some of your patients by the sounds of it, so that's just another great part of the team. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that needs some assistance, one way or another. It's not just an easy like a multivitamin.
I love what you said on that part. And I wouldn't even agree that a multivitamin should be. I think that what we've done in marketing, and I can say this firsthand because this was my day job, we've done in marketing is our job is to tee up whatever we are selling as a total solution. So if I'm selling you a group of lab tests, you can get these 100 labs tested. It's going to tell us everything we need to know about you. You're going to get a report that is approved by some doctor that doesn't know you. You're going to have answered some AI questions, and we're going to tell you what you need to do. Good, go and do that. Or you buy this multivitamin, take this multivitamin, and the foundation of all of your nutrient needs are met. BS. Like, I don't know. First of all, there might be things in there that actually work in conflict with other things that you're eating or drinking, or maybe you have fortifications in your food. I don't know how your digestion is working. There isn't a multivitamin that's out there that's designed to meet Rob's needs on June 19th at 10 a.m. Right. And so, we're in the world of personalization, and now marketing is teeing up every individual thing as a solution. So GLP-1s have fallen right into that space. We are so excited that there is a solution for obesity. It comes in the form of a shot. And here you take this and suddenly we no longer have obesity. But then we also have data that if anyone stops this within a year, 65% have regained their weight. And most of the time it's more fat, their weight comes back as fat and not necessarily the muscle that they regained. So what we're not looking at in this space is basically saying that none of these, nothing, like Advil's not NSAID's not a solution. The number of steps that you take isn't a solution. These are all individual tools. And we have a really massive toolkit today. But what we haven't had, one of the main reasons that I wrote my book is I was like, there's no playbook. There's no playbook to know when and how you choose these things. Like to know when, as an example, to not choose fiber if you are constipated. Like that's really important, because if you choose fiber when you're constipated, but the root cause of your constipation is either dehydration or motility issues, you are just going to have a really worsened experience by adding fiber in that instance, right? So I think what you're getting at is where the marketing of this is, really the problem. And now we see that in, celebrities saying like, I'm taking this, and look at me. And I'm like, that's like, I work with those celebrities. That's not what they're doing. Like they're working with someone like myself to use that tool successfully, whether their end goal is to get back into professional sports performance or to address a health issue that's arisen because when they were a professional athlete, they didn't, their body took this much stress and now this is what's happening, with their body. So marketing will get you every time. For anyone that's listening, I think that that's such a key thing to, like, we want it, but like, remember their whole job is to sell you a product. Like that's what you have to have in your mind when you see a message. Yeah.
Well, and that brings me into the question, like when someone starts taking a GLP-1 medication, will it be the magic bullet for them to lose weight?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we want to break up with the term lose weight. So we're not there to lose weight, because when we lose weight, we could lose a variety of things. We could lose muscle, bone, and water, or we could lose fat, and we could lose appropriate fat, or we could lose inappropriate fat. So I think most weight loss goals are really to lose inappropriate or unhealthy fat, right? The second thing for us to remember is that a lot of times we're thinking about like how quickly, like when we think of magic bullet, it's like, oh my gosh, I took this and the weight started to fall off. We have to remember what fat cells are. They're a signal of that the body is allocating something and putting stuff into fat as opposed to using it. So it's a signal that the body isn't working properly. So when we start to shrink those fat cells, we're actually liberating both emotional and physiologic or physical toxins. And those have to be able to be addressed and eliminated at an appropriate pace. So I like more consistent, sustained, appropriate pacing of fat loss, which is like, doesn't sound easy when it rolls off the tongue, but that while we're retaining bone and muscle, that kind of thing. The second thing in terms of a magic bullet, we can definitively say it's not going to be a magic bullet. And yet, here's the caveat. Oprah remembers the day that she took the medication. Many of my patients are like Oprah in only this way. They remember the first time they took the medication. And literally she was like, I took it at 8. I think I'm paraphrasing. I took it at 8. And by 2:00, I felt like a different person. That experience is true. It's 100% true for a good portion of the population. I want to bring us back to when somebody first takes estrogen or progesterone. Say you're like me and you were having horrible migraines, and I literally put on a patch and the migraine went away. And I had been trying everything to get I got a lot of tools like to get rid of that migraine. Put the patch on, the migraine was gone. Or say that you haven't had enough thyroid hormone. You take your thyroid hormone medication and you literally feel better in the moment. Let's say you actually have a headache and you take 2 Advil, Tylenol, aspirin, ibuprofen, whatever, and you literally feel better. There is medications that either agonist or antagonist, you may actually feel, oh my God, amazing in that moment. The question mark that we should always ask is, how are you going to feel a month later, 2 months later, 5 years later? Exactly. And that's where the magic bullet that seems like it's a magic bullet on a positive could also be more like a bullet and blow up inside of you.
This is so interesting. And I've listened to you on so many other podcasts because you had your book come out, Your Best Shot. And you talked about the detox pathways that people that are on these GLP-1 antagonists, they need to kind of like think, like this is part of what a dietitian would do to help coach someone and help partner with their health journey, is the detox pathway. Like how does that work and why is it important?
Yeah. Well, and I love just using, I love us just saying detox pathway. We sound so smart. So it's just and we have these detox pathways. So I do want to clarify because, and one of the reasons I also, in my book, for anyone, anywhere in the world that you get it, there's a QR code in there and it gives you access to a free community. It's HIPAA compliant, it's private, you can come in. And I did that because the reality of it is that Sandra and I are trained this way. Other people aren't. And so I don't want to just say across the board, any dietitian is going to be able to help you with this. Or I also don't want to infer that a doctor, like a DR, a doctor, anyone else isn't going to be able to help you with it. But we're trying to very quickly scale up and get people trained to think about this, because what we need to understand is exactly what you just brought up, which is that number one, most people think of detoxification as or a detox as something you go on, not necessarily something that's happening all the time. And it's happening in our liver. And just like our primarily in our liver, but it's very much tied to our digestive tract because we need to be able to eliminate those toxins. But one of the things for us to understand is just like we have two different types of hormones, we have ones made from fats and one made from proteins. We have two different phases or two different types of detoxification. And what some toxins that are stored in your fat cells or that we have exposure to in the body are already water soluble. And so they just can get eliminated. But many of them are more in the fat form. And in order for them to get eliminated, they actually have to be converted into that water form so that they can be eliminated. This is really important because when they are not eliminated, they recirculate. Recirculating toxins in the body, they don't have anywhere to go. They're either going to go back into fat or they're going to go rogue and cause a problem. Where do we see this? We see this primarily in cancer, or we see this also in autoimmune and other, inflammatory, like other situations where the body's like, I'm unhappy, like something is, I'm trying to get your attention.
Yes, I've worked in oncology nutrition for
Brilliant.
30 years.
Yes.
And the patients that come, some of them, like, it's amazing. Like, they've been healthy a lot of their life, maybe a little overweight, and then they go on a diet and they lose a lot of weight and they get to their goal weight, but then they keep losing, and then they are diagnosed with cancer. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, it's almost like all the toxins that were in their fat cells have like
a tipping point, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So, like, just like you saying that, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I've been saying this to Rob for years. Like, this is such a weird thing, and I keep seeing it over and over with different patients, but it totally makes sense, and I'm so glad you brought it up.
Well, and I think if we also add on top of this, and this, Rob, the guys got to pay attention to this one too. In the world of HRT, like, so one of the reasons that the early like alarm bells, with the big study that said, oh, women should go off of HRT, they cause cancer.
Hormone replacement therapy, right?
Hormone replacement therapy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Is that nobody looked in there at this detoxification question, right? And so what we want to recognize is that as we age, one of the things that happens when our hormones are leaving is we have less of those hormones, right? We have less testosterone, we have less estrogen, we may have less progesterone. Well, those hormones are those fat soluble ones that have to be converted in order to be eliminated. So if I come in and I increase my testosterone, I'm a dude and I'm like, my testosterone's lowering, I'm having trouble making muscle, my sexual performance, my cognitive function, I want to increase that. Or I'm a woman and I want to protect my testosterone or my estrogen, et cetera. And I add HRT back. I use HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and I add the hormone back. I've now significantly increased the amount of hormone. And if my detoxification is not working effectively, then I am going to also increase circulating used hormones, which are a primary driver of these estrogenic cancers. So
breast cancer, prostate,
uterine, prostate, et cetera.
Interesting.
So the big thing for us to pay attention to here that probably most people didn't think they were going to hear about in a GLP-1 conversation is if you are using a GLP-1 with any intention to shrink fat cells, or if that is happening anyway, you know that we're going to be liberating toxins. Some of those toxins are ones that have to be eliminated, be further detoxified through phase 2. All of them have to go through the detoxification process. So my book has a whole section on how to optimize this. We don't get to sleep on that. If you are adding the two, HRT and GLP-1, which shows additive positive benefits in many instances, then you also need to recognize that you have now added more of that stress on your detoxification system. And remember, the end product of detoxification is not that once it goes through detoxification, it gets eliminated. It serves up something that can be eliminated if the elimination part of digestion is working effectively. So if my digestion, which a GLP-1 agonist is going to challenge or was already challenged, then all of this stuff, and we see the recipe. And so, there's really exciting directional, exciting data about cancer and GLP-1 use. But what is not getting talked about is this stuff, and why this is concerning. Right. And one of the things, and you brought this up, Sandra, so when we were having a pre-call that I think is so important is one of the first things to go out the door when somebody is shrinking their total consumption, or when they're experiencing nausea, or when they're experiencing digestive delay, any of the stuff that can happen with a GLP-1 agonist, are cruciferous vegetables. The reason they go out the door is they can be tough on our digestive system. And not many people are eating radishes and mustard seed and the things that also give us myrosinase, which helps create sulforaphane. So again, I often lean into supplementation with glucoraphanin and myrosinase, and I bring that in. But I also will definitely look at how can we get in those greens? How can we, sometimes it's in a powdered form, better, not perfect. Like we're doing what we can, but we do have to be looking at that. And then the final piece to layer on top is, in the event that you have access, and I want to be very clear because we had that budgeting conversation. If you are somebody who has access and you have any concerns about cancer recurrence because you've had it already, or prevention, and especially familial, and you're concerned about these pieces, then it does make sense to do and have somebody like myself evaluate your nutrigenomics to see if your whole detoxification, if there's sluggishness, or what I'll call, not sluggishness, inefficiencies and efficiency, is where we may need to be even more intentional with your nutrient choices to optimize that.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Rob and I have both had their nutrigenomics and looked at that. And it is like, it's amazing how every single person is different in terms of their genes and what pathways are turned on or off, or what you need to do to optimize different pathways so that you can detoxify your body, because there's a lot of things in our environment and just things we eat that it will actually be harmful for us. So,
and let's talk about the number one, right? I get this question all the time, but, and somebody, was funny the other day, I went through this whole thing and I was like, okay, here's what you need to know about alcohol. And she's like, okay, what about a low sugar clean wine? And I was like has nothing, like the alcohol is the same. Like there's nothing, you know what I mean? I was like, there's alcohol and there's not alcohol. And I was like, and let's talk about that, because, it's going to affect the digestion part of the digestive conversation. It's going to affect the detoxification conversation of the detoxification. And, so when we look at all of this, like, sometimes people will be like, oh, you're just telling me not to have this. I'm like, look, you can all day long, you can wash your floor wearing muddy boots. Like, good luck to you, right? And I'm just here to be like, I want you to, like, I'm outcomes oriented. Like, at the end of the day, like, if I was selling muddy boots, or if I was selling a product, great, I can make a lot of money that way. But like, this isn't, when we're really trying to get into this space and get the outcomes, and I am not going to be happy if you recall, if I know you 10 years later and you recall those 1 or 2 years where you fit into the clothes that you liked because you were on a GLP-1. This is not a diet tool.
Yes.
Like, it's not a diet tool. And I think
love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Five. You're definitely speaking my language here, because this is the conversation I have with so many of my clients who just want to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds for the swimsuit season. And it's like, what about your long-term health? What about your bones? What about your skeleton and your muscle? What about, do you want to be like the elderly 80-year-old who cannot get out of the chair because you've fallen too many times and broken too many bones because you were on diets that restricted dairy and like all the, high calcium foods and fluids, like when you were younger, let's think of our health, not just about the weight. It drives me crazy.
And the positive to that is, and this is where like I sound like a salesperson for some of these, like for semaglutide, tirzepatide, maybe retatrutide, but not for orforglipron and like, some of the others. But the positives is used properly. Like, so in some of my cancer patients where HRT is not an option, or they're just choosing to make it not like, that's their decision. I'm like, okay, well, let's use tirzepatide at a low dose because it actually should be helping with bone. It should be, we can use it to promote muscle growth. We can help you. It is inappropriate to have 10 new pounds of fat is an issue. Yes, I know you don't like the way you look in your bathing suit, but I want you to know I don't like what it means about what your body is telling me. And if I can find that out at 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds, and not wait until it's 20 pounds, like I am totally in here for an intervention. We just have to do it correctly. And I think that's the, you know, the world of, are you pro or anti GLP-1s? Anyone who puts us in that argument, like goes into that argument, is not practicing personalized nutrition or weight health outcomes. Like it is really about, is this the best tool for you right now? If we use it, I always have a conversation for someone. If we're using it, I want to explain to you what will happen right out the door if we just stop using it, right? Because in that 65% of people that we were talking about before, where it says 65% of people will regain their weight after a year of stopping, like nobody's looking at the data and saying, let's say that there were that was based off of 1 million people. I would hazard to guess that only 100,000 of those people have actually achieved true weight health goals that then say, let me wean and come off of this, or try coming off of it. The others are coming off of it because cost or access. They're coming off of it because the side effects have proved intolerable at that point, or their doctor is saying this is no longer safe for you. They're coming off of it because they have another health issue that's come up, like maybe positively they become pregnant, or maybe negatively there is a cancer diagnosis, or there's something else. And so we have to, when we look at all of that part, we have to recognize that even that data doesn't tell us what we need to know about how we actually help somebody, on that part. But what I can tell you is if you just stop this medication, and oh, by the way, if you just stop any medication that you're on, your body goes back to its state before, and it turns around and says, it wasn't working for me before. So that's going to be the outcome. Like, we know what the outcome is if you just pull away, like a Band-Aid or, a tool that you've been using as a solution.
Right. Because you haven't made the other changes that are necessary for your overall health.
Right.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Okay. Or your body didn't respond favorably to the other choices. And that's a piece of it. I have a lot of people who seem to be like the depot. My team and I, we joke about this. We're like, we are the place that people are sent to when they've been told that the GLP-1 just won't work for them. They're like, you're the 5%, or like, you're having difficulty on this. And I was like, so you are having difficulty right now. And what it's shown us that your GLP-1 use right now, the way that you're using it, is not working for you. Like, we have all clarity there. That doesn't mean that a class of medications doesn't work for you. It means that we haven't used it properly for you and your body. And that probably means that signals were not assessed or decoded before you went on it, so that we could do this in the optimal way. And now we're in more of like a, an after the fact repair mode. But, or maybe it isn't going to be the right tool for you. And we look at other things, but you personally aren't a failure. It's not that you weren't able to do something, or you didn't do something. It's that in using this tool, what your body is showing us is that using it this way, this isn't going to work. And the exact same thing would happen. How many people take iron supplements and their iron levels don't go up? It's because we didn't identify it was not the iron, it was an absorption issue. Right. Or maybe you were taking calcium at the same time as iron, or drinking your coffee or whatever, and it wasn't, there are many factors, there. And I think we need to look at, individuals who are using a GLP-1 in a more, again, like, how is this working for your body? Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, that totally makes sense. It's just, there's so much, like, it's a very complex conversation, because everyone's different and everyone has a different, different behaviors. And then I love the name of your book, Your Best Shot, because it is kind of a tool in the toolbox. I think that's what the whole idea is, right? It's not like this is going to be the magic bullet. It might help some people. It might not help some people. But I think in the future, we're going to be seeing 1 out of 2 people on these things, right?
Well, so let's think that through, where I think that, so spoiler alert, I'm working on Your Kid's Best Shot, How to Raise a Weight Healthy Child in the GLP-1
really?
Era.
Oh,
yeah. And the reason for that is I have so many patients and practitioners asking me, now GLP-1s are approved in the US at age 10, 12, et cetera. And everybody has a point of view. We're not going to unpack that here. Yeah. But to me, what I really feel so strongly about is that my 7-year-old self didn't need a doctor to tell her to go on a diet. My 7-year-old self needed a doctor who said, okay, your fat around your belly is telling me that even though the antibiotics helped for your infections, they were hurting your digestive system. We have to start and decode and do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so one of the things that I think could happen is we might see an increase in people using GLP-1 agonists in a variety of different forms at a variety of different ages for a variety of different reasons, because in the United States, 9 in 10 adults do not meet the criteria for metabolic health. And I think it's actually too general, too nice of a criteria. Like, it doesn't even ask about digestive health. So
what does that
if
mean?
that's-
Let's unpack with that, because I'm sure Rob's wondering.
BMI, blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol levels, and also waist circumference. So based on those, 9 in 10 adults, right? So if we know that statistic today,
they're not in good metabolic health.
Correct. They don't meet the criteria. So,
Okay.
1 in 10 may, at the moment at which they were being asked, they were looking at their data, 1 in 10 may actually meet that criteria. Can we just agree, if that is the case, that centuries of diet, weight loss, and looking at total weight have failed? Like, at what point, what other statistic do we need? Do we need to wait to 9.5 to put the bin in? I mean, it's crazy to me that we have statistics like this. And so to that end, do we maybe need or benefit from having this tool to course correct? Well, what I'm seeing is in adults, we may need to use it to course correct on that side. The question mark is, could we take the learnings of this course correct and deliver it to parents and pediatricians and caregivers for children, and have them start off assessing weight health and optimizing weight health so that we don't need the medication? So ultimately, we might have a generation of where we might hit a number of 1 in 2, uses it at some point or whatever. But if they're then able to role model weight healthy eating and lifestyle and that kind of thing for their children, if they're able to be weight healthy when they get pregnant, which we know impacts, both the male and the female, it impacts the health of the child. Like, then we are we like 2 or 3 generations out where we only need to use this. Like, we look back and we're like, oh, remember that time that we had to come in and use this medication because they had gone so off the rails, but now they're better. Like, they're in this place and we don't need. So that's that's my hopeful side. My hopeful side is that the GLP-1 agonist becomes a tool that we can use to help improve, to change these statistics, to get us to a place in pretty quickly where we could get to, 4 or 5 out of 10 adults don't meet the criteria for metabolic health. But we're only going to do that if we stop using it as a weight loss drug, and we stop using it as a diabetes drug, and we start using it as hormone replacement therapy, that then we look at the whole person and we say, how do we optimize their health?
Right. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a lot. Hey, Rob, what are you, your head spinning?
A little bit. I'm just wondering where old school diet and exercise kind of fit in. Like, I know that's a tool in the toolbox too, but it seems now that across the board with everything in everyone's life, we all want everything right away.
Yeah.
We don't want to put pennies in a jar and someday we're going to save up $100 to go and buy that thing. We want it now. We're going to just get a credit card and go get it. And then we'll worry about the pennies later, and I think with health, especially with weight loss, it seems like we want that instant fix, and people are sort of forgoing the whole diet and exercise kind of route in order to get that quick fix. And then it's like, oh, look, I lost 50 pounds. I'm good to go now. I can just keep taking this medication. And then it just creates more problems. And
well, I'm going to jump in on a
Sure.
reframe. And the reason I want to reframe is that is how it appears.
Okay.
That's not the experience of the individuals for the most part. The experience of the individuals is, you know what, Rob, I have been trying diet and exercise in 16 or 17 different ways.
Right.
And it has, in some instances, has created so much unhappiness and negativity in my life that that it really has impacted relationships, my relationship with myself, et cetera. But here's where the rubber meets the road. The reason diet and exercise doesn't work is that the crust of your pizza is digestion and hydration. If your digestion and hydration are not optimized, it really doesn't matter what nutrients you're taking in, what food you're taking in, because they're not going to become nutrients that go where they're supposed to go and get used by the body in the way that it's supposed to be used. So the first thing that's totally inappropriate about any diet or exercise recommendation is for it to come before a digestive assessment, a hydration assessment. And in my book, I use this pizza analogy. That's why I'm referencing the crust.
Yeah.
But to your point, The sauce and the cheese, those are your total nutrition. And they're also lifestyle behaviors, including activity and recovery. There's also, stress and sleep and breathing and, et cetera. So at the end of the day, we do not get to put those on a back burner. We do not get to come in and be like, I'm going to go on a GLP-1 agonist. I can eat when I want, what I want. And just because I've completely reduced the amount, I am going to be weight healthy. I might lose a lot of weight and I might lose it really fast. And I'm also probably going to be the person that then has a variety of other issues of, I've also lost bone. I've also lost hair. I've also lost sex drive. I've also increased my risk of cancer, like whatever these things are. Right. And I don't want to make a direct correlation to increasing my risk of cancer. I was very glibly commenting on the detoxification conversation we were having before. But what I want us to realize in that part is for some people, the GLP-1 agonist becomes the thing that right now actually helps them be able to do this. And I think we have to separate in diet and exercise. I think those are two problematic terms. We've turned them into problematic terms. Yeah. So instead I use total nutrition and I talk about the quantity, the quality, the timing, and the balance of what you're consuming, because we really just need to think about resources there. And the reason we can't talk about exercise is I have plenty of people who exercise. They exercise per the guidelines. They get in 30 minutes of activity a couple times a week. Are you kidding me? Your body needs to move every 3 hours, for at least and you need to move at least 7 minutes after you've been eating and taking in calories so that your body knows, oh, I just got nutrients in. Now let me go deliver them, and my digestive system moves and that kind of thing. So with diet and exercise, we've created things that are terms, whether it's to go on a diet or whether it's what is in your diet or eat like the Mediterranean diet. Like if I'm from Mexico, the Mediterranean is what are you talking, or if I'm in Canada, I'm not going to so I turn around, I'm like, there are nutrients. At the end of the day, your body needs those nutrients. So I do think it's important that, and I am on a societal kick to make sure that we don't talk about the idea of if somebody is going on this medication, they're taking a shortcut or they're trying to do something and they're foregoing. I literally have not met a person who has not tried some version of something before going on this. And then the other interesting part is I have all these women in particular, a couple of men, but all these women who are like, Ashley, I have controlled my weight, my diet with diet and exercise my whole life. I have, I've done it. But what, I'm diabetic now, what is this, and I was like, yeah, it's because, or I have osteopenia, I have osteoporosis, I have osteoarthritis. I was like, yeah, that diet that you've done or that exercising, you so suboptimally resourced your body, especially during bone building time period. So in this space, we're just coming around to, hey, diet and exercise is, I think we get rid of those terms and we talk about nutrition and movement, et cetera. Those are key tools, but we always have to start with digestion.
Yes. So what's the perfect kind of if you could take it back to square one and what's the perfect kind of prescription, we'll call it, for health, overall health? It sounds to me like you want to identify things before you just start jumping on board a certain program. You want to identify what your body needs and then say, okay, maybe the GLP-1 is going to work for you. Maybe you need to change your diet a bit. Maybe you need to address some, hormone issues or whatever. But it sounds like people are just going in one direction without sort of looking into what that they actually need. Is that?
For anyone who wants the Cliff Notes version of my book, Rob just gave it to you.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. Look, if we want optimal health, which I believe, some people use the term longevity, health span, whatever. I believe we all want to be as healthy as we can for as long as we're here, in that time period. Then part of that, understanding the body's physiology, is part of that is your weight health hormones dictate how your body operates. So they are a core component of that, just like your sex hormones and all of these other ones. If they are suboptimal, you will struggle with weight health. That is going to show up way beyond, and in a variety of different ways, way beyond a number on the scale or what your pant size is. When you are having those struggles, the first thing that you want to do is you want to decode your signals. What is my body telling me right now? The first place that we want to decode signals is the pizza crust, digestion and hydration. The second place we want to decode the signals is with your total nutrition, quantity, quality, timing, balance. Am I giving my body the resources that it needs? Let's assume it can use them, but is it getting the resources that it can need? And where and when it isn't, then how do I optimize that? And then the third area that we want to assess are our lifestyle choices to see how those are disrupting the apple cart or how they're helping us be more successful. So if I'm not sleeping well, or if I'm getting up to pee in the middle of the night, or if I'm having low blood sugar, whatever it is, and it relates to my sleep, then that's going to put me on a course to crave more sweets in the morning, need more caffeine. That's going to negatively impact my digestion. That's going to drive my blood sugar up. So our sleep is also going to be something, and I just choose that one there to decode. You go through the process of decoding it, and it actually gives you the prescription. And it gives you the prescription in two ways. It gives you the prescription of what is working. Keep those. Protect those. No one in 20 something years of working with patients, no one has ever been a complete hot mess. Like there are things that you're doing that are already working better for your body, and we need to protect those. And then we start to experiment with new choices based on how we want to optimize the others. And in those new choices, and you'll notice I talked about crust, sauce, and cheese of the pizza. What else do we put on pizza? We put toppings. One topping that we could choose to use is a GLP-1 agonist. If we choose to use that, we need to understand what putting that topping on the pizza is going to do. It is going to impact your digestion. It is going to impact your hydration. So that means if it's impacting the crust, we can't put if you put a super soggy topping, I can't even think about it, what it would be, but a super soggy topping on top of a pizza. And it
kimchi.
Yeah, okay, you put kimchi on top. Thank you. You put kimchi on top of a pizza. We're all about to vomit. You put it on top of the pizza, and it makes the crust super soggy, and it definitely doesn't make the sauce and cheese taste well. You're not going to want to eat that. You're not going to find that pizza delicious for you. I'm going to use this forever going forward, Sandra, and I'm the T on you. Kimchi on a pizza. So it's going to make it soggy and gross. Okay, and maybe it could also be depending on the kimchi, but yeah. So in that way, but if it disrupts that, now the way you could make it delicious is, I bet if you strain it, or depending on how the pizza is prepared, or depending on what your choices are, and then you put the kimchi on there. If you find the way to do it where it's delicious, Rob, that's your chef's kiss. That's how a GLP-1 agonist makes a delicious pizza. And that's what we have to figure out.
You know what? Could I bring it back to your car analogy again?
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of like your car's not running well, and you just start throwing parts at it. Without knowing this, let's try this, let's fix this part, let's see if that helps, and it's kind of the backwards way of doing it, right? You really need to ask your car what it needs and find out, and then address it from that route.
Yes, exactly. And you, in order to do that, all of us and this conversation hopefully didn't produce it in some people, but I can appreciate at times, especially when I was speaking, where it could have. We all exist in a world where we're infobese. We have so much information, even great quality information. Just the amount of it is negatively impacting us and our choices and decision fatigue and overwhelm. And so one of the things that we want to recognize is that every single one of those things that are being teed up to you by any person anywhere is a marketing message. And that's a marketing message is information. You actually want to pivot, and you want to get those insights about your body. And that's going to help you lean into what are those better choices. And then you can come over to those marketing messages and be like, okay, well, now that I've heard about this and I've really figured out that, it would be great for me to wear a continuous glucose monitor and figure out these things. Okay, now I can invest in it. But if I just go and buy the continuous glucose monitor and start getting rid of all carbohydrates, or freebasing water with lemon because somebody told me that's natural GLP-1, it's not going to work. And it may work in the moment. And that is why we are at 9 and 10 adults. We are at crisis level because of marketing, because of this approach that it's everybody's got a recommendation, but nobody's got one for you and your body today. That's what we need. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my head's spinning. This is awesome. Great conversation.
Yay. Oh my gosh. I think we're going to this is going to be your first 4-hour podcast. You're like, well, we'll do 30 minutes. And we're like, okay. But anyway, I know I have to come find you guys and see you in person and vice versa. So we'll do more of these. Yes.
And you know what? I'm thinking for the potluck question, because I always say, what would you bring to a potluck? But kimchi on pizza, that might be something. Rob, what do you think?
I've had it. We have a brewery in town that did that, and they've gone for like the gourmet pizzas, right? And one of the first ones I ever had there, and it's still one of my favorites. It had kimchi on it, and
Okay, but tell
it
me what else,
worked.
because I'm trying to figure
It
this out.
was
So
like,
regular crust, yeah.
well, their pizzas are really good. So, but yeah, normal kind of pizza, but really
Okay.
nice crust. And I think there was like some
Chicken.
kind of Korean something or other pork that was
Oh,
super
pork, right.
flavored. There
Uh-huh.
was probably
Tomato sauce? But I just can't imagine tomato sauce and kimchi. That's what I'm
I
struggling with.
I think it was. Yeah,
Really?
it might have
Okay.
been. It was their own. They made their own kimchi, so
Okay.
maybe the
Okay.
kimchi was a little bit different. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
still going to be kimchi. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll have to look it up. I'll look it
Okay.
up and I'll send it to
Yeah,
you.
I want. Yeah,
And
I want to know that one for
it
sure.
was an absolutely delicious combination of flavors, and I don't think I had had kimchi that much before that, and I was like, "Wow, this is fantastic."
You're hooked.
Yeah.
I was
Mhm.
blown away. So it's
Mhm.
yeah, maybe you just need to try it. Try the right one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So
Yeah.
there
Oh
you go.
gosh. Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much for all your information. This has been such a lively interview and just like, wow, there's just, yeah, I can see why you wrote a book. You've got so much information.
Yeah, that's
And I
just
love that
chapter
you're
one.
doing another,
Yeah.
exactly, your kid's best shot. That's awesome. Wow. So it's coming up like in a year or something?
I think so. Yeah, we're in a, and it's been really interesting. You know, there are publishers who didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because they were like, why would we like touching weight and kids, you know?
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
And I was like,
right.
oh my God, can we, like, if we don't touch it, look what we have. Like we have diet
Yeah.
books
Totally.
for parents to think about. And then we have a bunch of books that are like, don't talk to your kids about their weight. Like that's going to ruin your relationship and your life with them. Like, you know, that kind of thing. And I was like,
Yes.
wait, why don't we have a playbook? Like this is how your body's
Yes.
designed. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
makes so much more sense, you know? It's
Yes.
like I said, like with the car thing, it's like when the computers came out in the cars and you just like you plug the little machine in and your car tells you what's wrong with it. I mean, that's kind of brilliant. And it's
It
what
is
we
kind of
need to
brilliant.
do for our
Yeah.
own health instead of just
Yes.
guessing and taking shots in the dark, you know. It's we need to take the best shot.
Yes. There you go.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
that really to me is, I believe that when you can figure out, when you become empowered. So the reason, you know, with all of this in closing, we have become so disempowered by weight and weight loss as an approach as individuals, because we've tried, or, you know, like all these different things. And I feel like when you can become empowered to know how to operate your body, like operating, you know, a car in that part, you can go where you want to go. And I think that we're missing so many people who like could be curing like diseases, or, you know, figuring out how we're going to survive in a, you know, world that we're abusing and like all this different stuff, but they're battling weight health issues, you know, and they're not finding for themselves what they're meant, their purpose. So to me, like your best shot really is about, like at a very high level, how to fulfill your life purpose. Is if you're challenged with, you know, disempowerment, you're not going to get there, you know, or it's going to feel so hard all the time to get there.
Hmm.
Oh,
Totally
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And I think this just is a tool and it helps with, you know, helping people forge ahead with their health and in a way that, especially if they have a partner, like a health partner, a dietitian, a coach, to help them figure out what else is going
Mhm.
on and how they can improve, you know, all their aspects of health.
That's right.
So where can people track you down there, Ashley? I'm guessing you're all over social media. Is there a sort of central spot they can find more
Yeah. And, you know,
information?
like I think we should. So, first of all, Your Best Shot should be available wherever books are sold or where you borrow them. Use your library. Like, I feel great about
Absolutely.
that. You get to come into our community regardless. And then for me, the company that I run is the Better Nutrition Program. And so we provide, both in the US and in Canada, we are a resource for practitioners and also for individuals. And they're on social media, and then I'm on social media. I also love Substack. So Substack, I've really leaned into. I think, you know, the bug of writing the book, and then seeing all the stuff that like I didn't get to include in the book. I was like, all right, I need a place for that.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. Like a
I do.
blog. Like it's kind of like a
Yes,
blog, but it's just I love
exactly.
it. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm back there, and I really enjoy doing that. So find me. And most of the time I answer my own messages. So I love interacting with you and hearing what your questions are as well.
Oh, I
That's
love
amazing.
that. Yeah, the Substack's great. I kind of just joined recently, and it is a
Ooh,
great
let's
way to,
find each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yes.
for
Okay, good. Good, good. Yeah.
sure. That's so awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Ashley. This has been such a amazing interview, and yeah, I look forward. We're definitely going to get you back on the show, and maybe when you release your kid's best shot, because that
Mhm.
will be so valuable and also controversial. Like, just
Yeah.
even the publishers were like, no, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
So that'll be really interesting. I think I bet you get a lot of just a lot of media around that
Mm.
because of the controversy around it. And I think it's information is always
hmm
good. So yeah, I'm glad you're writing it.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks so
again,
much.
Ashley. We look forward to sort of connecting again, and we'll definitely put out all your social media handles for people to track you down, and yeah, hopefully everyone sort of got something from this. I think it's a new spin on the whole GLP sort of controversy, and I think that you've sort of set the record straight. So hopefully people get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks again for joining us.
What a great interview. She is a dynamo.
Yeah, you know what I liked?
What?
I liked how she was really good at explaining things, like really thorough, long, thorough explanations, but not so deep that, that you lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like, I could see the picture that she was painting, and it all made sense because the GLP stuff is it's controversial, I think, because people don't understand it. Like they don't understand it enough.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have all the information in there, and I am guilty of that too. Sort of jumping to conclusions, going, "Oh, why do people need to take a pill for this? Why can't they just exercise?" And but once you have all the information and the facts and a clear story,
Mm-hmm.
it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And she was really good at explaining all that and sort of putting everything into perspective. So, yeah, I appreciate having her on to sort of give us that picture.
Yeah. And just to kind of demonstrate that the GLP-1 medications are like a tool in the toolbox,
Yeah.
and individual results, kind of based on genetics and your own metabolism and what you're doing in your life, your behaviors. It's dose dependent. You'll basically, with the weight, it works while you're on it, but just like with other medications, like if you're on a blood pressure medication, it helps reduce your blood pressure. And if you discontinue that blood pressure medication, then your blood pressure usually comes up. And the same thing with the GLP-1 medications. If you're not on it anymore, you'll likely gain the weight back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's got so many amazing concepts in her book, Your Best Shot.
Right.
Like just the calorie, like we talk about, with our interview with her, we talked about some of the myths around dieting and weight management, like calories the only thing that matters, and everyone should follow the same diet.
Yeah, I like that stuff because it really shows how we're all unique, and we need to sort of identify what our own body needs for whatever health goal we're trying to achieve, and not just follow what the next person's doing or what you read online or in a magazine or whatever, right?
Oh
Or
yeah.
whatever the newest trend is.
Yeah.
It's and that's why some people have success and some don't, because they're following someone else's kind of plan, essentially.
Yeah.
Someone else's
exactly.
roadmap. It's not going to lead to your goal.
I loved how Ashley was talking about how, as dietitians, how we help people from where they're at. So it's like better, not perfect in nutrition, and personalized nutrition rather than one size fits all. And yeah, looking at nutrition and nutrient quality versus just calories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting. It's complex, all of the weight health hormones, and in her book, it's really laid out really well. So I encourage people to look for her book. And as she said, you can get it at the library even.
Yeah. She won't be offended. She
No,
wants
she
to.
wants the information out in the world.
Exactly.
So
She's trying to help people. She's not She's not just trying to make money off her book. She's trying to help people like legitimately, and she's good at it, you know?
Yeah, well, she's done 150 interviews on different podcasts in the last year,
Mm-hmm.
which is incredible. And she is actually featured by InStyle as Hollywood's leading dietitian
Oh,
to the
there you go.
celebrities
Well then.
and CNN top 100 health makers.
Hmm.
So, and also in today's Dietitian magazine, Ashley Koff is named among the top 10 registered dietitians in the US.
Nice.
Amazing.
Well done, Ashley.
I know.
Well deserved. I mean, she
knows her stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does she ever?
Backwards and forwards, upside down and inside out.
I know, right?
You know, it's amazing. She's worked with so many clients. She has helped so many people. And I'm so glad she wrote this book because it's really important information.
And I'm so glad she shared it on our show.
I know. We're so lucky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And she's starting another book, Your Kid's Best Shot. And I can't wait to see that one come out.
Mm-hmm. We were talking to her a little bit before we were recording, and she's a lot of fun. We had a fun little discussion, and I bet her social media is a lot of fun too. So, and her book, I'm sure her humor sort of shines through her book as well. So, yeah, it's fun relating to someone like that. So be sure to check out her social media. I think she mentioned it previously. We'll link it in our show notes as well.
Yeah, and she runs the betternutritionprogram.com, where she has a team of dietitians helping clients. And yeah, it's a great thing that you can look that up too. We'll have that in the show notes.
Absolutely. So thanks again to Ashley Koff for joining us today. That was fantastic. Great information that she shared with us. And yeah, if you're interested in what Ashley was talking about, be sure to check out her book, check out her social media, her website. I'm sure she's got tons more information out there. Yeah, if you're interested in following up with some of that conversation we were having today, you can also check out our website. We got a few things over there. Might be interesting to you. Lots of blog articles and different links and all sorts of stuff. You can also sign up for our weekly newsletter. Lots of goodies in there as well. It's free to join. There's a link for that on our website. It's mywifethedietitian.com. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to email us at mywifetherd@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you're liking the show, let us know. We love hearing your feedback. And like I said, your questions, your comments, your ideas, all that stuff. It's super helpful for us. Keep the show going forward here. And don't forget to share with your friends. That's also something else that's super helpful. So that is it for this week. We will be back next week with another full show. Like I said, don't forget to join the newsletter if you want a bit more information throughout the week. And don't forget to visit Ashley's website and social media pages as well. Okay, so that is it. That's all we got. We're going to go now. Okay, have a good week. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.